LaFontaine, he gets tripped up, gets it to May, and over the line. He's May going in on goal. He scores!
Welcome to the Overtime with Mayday podcast.
There you go.
Love it. Hey, Gary, love it. Loving the stories. I don't know if you can see on your screen, but we've got a special guest that's come on. I let him know, and he wants to join you and I and Rocco. One of your best friends, Bernie Nichols, is now on the pod. Do you see him?
I do.
Oh, I love that. That's a Bernie Nichols invitation.
Hey, thanks for making me look better, Bern. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
you got it. Always, always help you.
Hey, so you guys. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, one of my great friends, I've known Bernie a long time. We've been playing golf together for over 40 years. So probably the best teammate I never had. He's a hell of a guy.
Hey, so in our conversation, Gary, Bernie, you're going to pick up on this, but we were just talking about Gary's, and being totally honest, Gary's athletic prowess, how good of an athlete Gary is, and truly he really was. However, are you a better athlete than Gary Leeman? Because you yourself could have been a baseball player before hockey. You played for our country, our province. You won national championships and stuff. Who's a better athlete, or would it be just amazing if you guys were on the same team together?
Yeah, I think I'll go with that. You know, Gary and I, we compete no matter what we do, and it's fun, right? Like, even if we're on the same team, we're heckling the shit out of each other because that's just what we do. You know what I mean? People will laugh, and you've been there, Brad, but we were teammates when we played against Gary and
Yes, and Matthew.
Barney there. But when Gary and I are teammates, playing people, they laugh at us because we're arguing and competing against one another as teammates. You know, I think when I play golf, Gary brings the best out of me, and when I'm thinking the same, you know, I want to beat Gary more than anybody. Well, I want to beat anybody, but when it's Gary, it's always more fun to beat him. So we're competitive against one another, no matter what we do.
If you guys had a baseball in your hand,
right? The ability that you guys played at the level that you played at. I mean, you don't get there if you don't have that ability or desire to perform and play. That's what 99.9% of the people who don't make it to the pros don't have, right? Or have that level up.
Yeah, that's true. I always say, you know, I'm playing cards against my mom. I want to win. No matter what you do, right? I think we're just programmed that way. And, you know, no one hates to lose more than us athletes. Like, it doesn't matter what we do. We're playing charity games all the time. And if we happen to lose, which we don't very often, man, it's not good. Even, you know, 65 years old.
It's a long ride home.
Yeah, it's a long ride home, and it's
the beer just doesn't taste quite as good, does it? It just doesn't. Yeah.
Hey, if you guys had a baseball in your hand, who throws it further?
Well, I never really seen Gary play ball. Never. I think we played together one time. More accurate. I could take that. I'm not sure how far Gary can throw it, but I think we're both going to go with ourselves, right? we pretty much have to.
This is a total setup.
Yeah.
Well, I think first of all, Bernie's going to have a fastball in his hand. I'm going to have either a softball or a hard ball in my hand. Bernie was probably a world class. Is it fastball, Bern?
Yeah, underhand.
Yeah. And I played mostly just, you know, school stuff. And then the one year at Notre Dame, I was actually at practice, and Martin Kenny was in the stands, our president. He was sitting there with one of the Hicks brothers, I believe. One of them was a scout for the Cincinnati Reds, and he called me over after practice and put me on the protected list at 16. And I didn't know what that meant, well, that's great, whatever. I just went back to doing what I was doing and never played ball again after that. So it was a strange thing, but no, Bernie's an excellent. I saw him play fastball, and great fastball player, and yeah. So, and by the way, Brad, I know you're trying to start something here. Okay, what I want to know is how the hell did you get on the pro,
buddy? You don't understand what Brad does in his own time. See, the greatest thing about an athlete like myself, Gary, is I do the work when no one's watching. Sometimes you mail it in and you play work, buddy. You play shitty, Gary. Just, when we've been out together, you hit a few into the trees, because then it sets up the next level of a bet or a competition.
Hey, can I add to that, Brad?
Yeah, go ahead, Bernie. Go ahead.
There's only been one hole-in-one since the pro existed. Do you have any idea who got that? I forget.
Yeah, I sure do. We're still talking about it.
Sorry.
Hey guys, I got a hole-in-one in a real competition. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
That's what's funny? We've both been together playing one another, and each of us got a hole-in-one. Gary and I.
Come on. Okay, I gotta hear the story. Let's go.
Yeah.
Where was it? What did you hit? How was the shot?
17 at Muskoka Bay for me.
Yeah.
7-iron in, and then what was the course called, Gary?
Eagle's Nest.
Eagles, beautiful course.
Number 13, and it's 7-iron for me too.
Yeah.
And ironically, Bernie calls me that morning. He goes, "What are you doing today?" I said, "You tell me." He goes, 3:00, Eagle's Nest. I said, "Okay, see you there." So Bernie and Amanda are in one cart. I'm in with Mike Hubley, who I think had Bernie on his podcast and getting to know him and stuff. So I'm the fourth. I show up there, and him and I are riding together. Real nice guy. And he says to me after the 12th hole, he says, "Do you mind if I record the shot?" I said, "No problem." I hit 176 yard 7-iron into the hole. It's the only thing he recorded all day, which is like ridiculous. It made me think, like, there was somebody looking out for me that day, and his name was Craig Marseille, who had passed away. Bernie and I played a bunch of times with him. He would invite us out to Eagle's Nest. And it was the strangest feeling when I kind of thought about it. I went, wow, that was pretty amazing. You don't normally think like that, but I just thought, wow, that guy sent me a hole-in-one. He was a great golfer, great guy.
It was a terrible swing, though, Mayday.
Videotape, Gary?
Mayday, you've seen his swing, right? Like, it was terrible. Like, if you're watching, that's not going in the hole.
Hey,
so somebody help.
What were you doing chirping at my ball when it was going in the hole?
I was trying to help it in.
You make it move.
Help.
Hey, Bernie, just for a little humble brag for myself, can you tell Gary, I want to get in on this action a little bit. Can you tell him about our tournament we played in at the Hamilton Golf Club, and what I won on that day?
Yeah, I played. And Gary, you played there, obviously. Beautiful golf course.
Great course.
Brad had just got finished winning, or getting a hole-in-one in our
Alabama
event. We're playing in Hamilton, and on these holes, they have beautiful cars. And the one was a Rolls Royce, a Ghost Rolls Royce.
No way.
Closest to, you get it for the weekend. Sure as hell, Brad, about 4 feet, whatever. Closest to Rolls Royce for the weekend.
Surprise. I'm not. You're gonna look.
Just a big moment guy.
Tough hole too.
He's got way more talent. He's, like he said, he does the work behind the scenes. He doesn't really brag himself up. Well, once in a while, like right there, but but he doesn't do that. He comes across as this humble guy, team guy, all this stuff, right? No, he's got talent, and he doesn't want you to know about it because he wants.
Well, then you're contradicting yourself because you just asked him why he's on the tour.
I know.
Asked him why he's on the pro.
Hey, I gotta be honest.
Let people figure it out for themselves.
This is true, Gary. We're going to one here in the next within 2 weeks. We're going down to Palm Springs to play in the second event of the season, because now it's a pro season. There's 6 or 7 events. But we're going, Gary, you have to get on this thing.
Must be nice.
Your golf game is good enough to be there, and not only be there, but actually like show yourself off as a good golfer. I'm going to put your name into the mix if you want to. I don't know if you. Sometimes guys are afraid to compete. I don't know if you're one of them.
I gave his information to the other girl, and then she got canned.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because of that,
Bernie, did she get canned? Did she get canned before or after she mentioned, bringing Gary on?
After I mentioned bringing Gary, and then
Rocco, I thought we were going to be friends.
You and I, buddy, we're friends here. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny.
I would love to be in that.
When Brad starts talking as the third party, he's pumping up his game, right? He can play. And first of all, I'd like to see a photo of him trying to drag those big knuckle cinder block hands into a ghost Rolls Royce and trying to drive around with those big mitts. Incredible.
Wow. Someone's driving it for him.
Guys,
you know what? He hits it a mile.
He's sitting in the back of that thing.
That guy hits it a mile. Oh, when I was a little younger, I was out on a range one day, and I didn't realize it, but George Knutson was running the range, and it was in Buttonville. And I remember him coming out, and I was the only guy in the range, and I was teeing the ball up real high, and I was trying to hit it through the back of the range. Like, my swing, yes, not the prettiest. And just because I do some things that I shouldn't. And so that was one of the days I was just trying to hit as hard as I could. And he came out smoking a cigarette, and I had him to myself for about 20 minutes. It was so awesome. And what he told me was, what you should do is put some weights in the top of your club and swing a heavier mass. So back then I was putting that lead tape on the back of my irons and my drive, all my clubs, right? And thinking that it's going to make the bottom of the club heavier. So what he said was to put weights in the shaft and not let them go past where you're gripping, and you're swinging a heavier mass, and that would make the ball go further. Well, your hands are so heavy, Brad, that you don't need to do that.
Well, hey,
and that's a compliment, because you knocked a lot of guys out.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So take the positive out of that, please.
Rocco, true story. I actually have a lot of fun playing golf. I have my moments. I can hit some good shots, but we're looking at two of the best golfers that I've played with. These two guys, like, no shit, they're both really, really solid. And Gary, you should be on this thing. Your game is tight, and you should be able to. But for just for this podcast specifically, if you were actually a scout, what would you, vice versa, what would you say about Bernie, and Bernie, what would you say about Gary, the way you played hockey? If you were a scout, what's the report on each other?
In hockey or golf?
Hockey. Let's get back to hockey for a moment.
Well, I can start. See, I never played against Gary much, or like I was in the East or the West. He was in the East, right? Never played with him. You just get to hear him tell his stats, and you always get to hear that, and so obviously they're good.
they're not great stats, so I don't believe in stats.
I tried to get Gary on a couple teams one time, but I never got to see him play. I know when we play with him now, you think he can still play. Honestly, like, he's got hands as good as
no chance
anybody. He skates really well. He's strong. Like I said, I never played against him enough.
Bernie, you don't have to do this. I know this is killing you, bud.
I'm serious.
Mayday, I thought you knew us better than that.
I'm trying to get just a sensitive side from you guys, just a little bit.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Okay. So I know Gary, you can take it serious here. Bernie Nichols, scouting report on Bernie Nichols. And if I can just throw it in there, one of the players who has stats that can be backed up, that are Hall of Fame worthy, that should be in the Hall of Fame, if in fact you're matching numbers and longevity against each other outside of like team accomplishments, maybe that's a part of it. But Bernie Nichols is a Hall of Fame resume.
Without a doubt, the numbers back it. Maybe it's, I think Bernie was kind of alluding to, not seeing me play, and I didn't see him play much either, because I wouldn't, if I'm staying up that late to watch those games out west, I was probably in a bar or something, but, you know, Bernie's numbers speak for themselves. Super talented, great hands, great shot. Could see the ice really well, was a great passer. I mean, if there was anything maybe that kept him maybe off some of the, the Team Canada teams and stuff like that, maybe skating, but he got there. Like you don't get 70 and 80 in a season if you don't get there, and was a big game player. Yeah, I can't say enough about how good a hockey player he was. It's really gone downhill since, but
Oh, I love these. Now I'm going to actually turn this around on both of you, all of you guys. Now, Gary and Bernie, I need you to actually describe Brad's play. And you can leave the Knuckles aside, because we talked in last year's one of our last year podcasts about him damaging his Stanley Cup ring, and I've got a little condo in Vancouver. His ring is bigger than the condo I have in Vancouver. Right. So if anybody's been to Vancouver, you can appreciate that. So now you guys scout out Brad May.
Well, and that ring's probably small in his hand.
I would think so. It's cinder blocks, man. Crazy.
I can start this one too. I never got to see Brad play very much, but the cool thing, we were talking about the pro and any events you do with other sports, right, or other professional athletes, is the stories you hear. And some of the stories, because I hang with Brad all the time with this, and we got guys come up to him all the time wanting to hear some of Brad's stories, and obviously people he's fought. And to me, that it's unbelievable how good of a fighter he was. And like I said, I'd never really seen him fight either, but things you've heard, how much of a team player he was. People love him, which is great. And, I did see the goal he did get, the one that he's famous for. You need some hands to do that too. And he's got talent to back up those big hands of his.
Love it, Bernie. Yes. Hey, we're not going to hear it from Gary. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I was going to say you're a better person than a hockey player.
I'm good in the room. I'm good in the room.
No, you're a hell of a hockey player. And Bernie hit it on the head. Like, what I think when you get a chance to play with top players, then you're gonna excel more. You're gonna but I think they counted on you being a bit of a pugilist, a little too much to to get to like a what your max was to be, if you're gonna be on the power play and play that kind of game and stuff like that. You had an all-round game. You had way better hands than people might think. Those hands they're made for both, and
Lethal.
yeah. And fighting guys a lot, longer, taller. The guys that you battled, like, just shows your character, shows your willingness to be a team guy. I got to see more of that when you came to Toronto, although it was, did you say it was like a half a year?
It was a half a season.
Half a season. Yeah. So obviously, I watch, being around here, I watch, keep an eye on the Leafs and stuff. And you could just tell right away that you fit in anywhere. You're a guy that goes out of his way to make people feel comfortable and sometimes uncomfortable, but that's your, that's your MO, which is great. And yeah, it just I've been very very happy to get to know you a lot better. After our playing careers, I think I met you and started to get to know you at one of Shane Corson's golf tournaments.
Yes, yes.
Where we had a blast there, and we had a couple of drinks, too many, and you were arm wrestling. You were arm wrestling everybody in the bar. You're even great at that. So,
I just
anyhow,
hate people like that. I do. I mean, come on. When I met Brad at one of Beaner's golf tournaments in Phoenix through a good buddy of ours, Amy Hushkoff, Husky, and we just hit it off. But a couple of weeks later, I happen to be in Toronto, and we connect, and we go to lunch, and there's some Toronto Maple Leaf event going on in this bar, but we're meeting a couple of people, and we're sitting for lunch. Within this 45-minute hour lunch, there is multiple people coming up to the table, talking about Brad May, the hockey player, right? And, stories and the Mayday goal and this and that. And then there's somebody comes over and talks about the blades of ice or the steel blades, the figure skating thing. And then somebody comes in and talks about, and generational, like all types of people, all ages coming up to talk to this table, to talk to Brad about, the great Canadian race. And I'm like, looking at this guy is like, Jesus, you're a Renaissance dude, man.
Done it all.
Done everything. What don't you do? It's like, I don't even know if I can be friends with you. I'm just a, shitty old grocery stick goalie from Yellowknife who still just plays a little bit of hockey because I'm too stupid to stop.
he keeps everything behind the scenes,
right?
Eh?
Yeah.
But you know what?
So I guess
that was fantastic watching you guys do that. That was amazing.
It was really fun. I've had so many great, really cool experiences and opportunities to be out there. And of course, most of this stuff is obviously in front of or behind the camera, in front of the camera, on those reality shows. But the experiences that I had with the guys I did it with, one of your great friends, Russ Courtnall, was actually on the Battle of the Blades when I was on it. Got to know Rusty, and I'd love to know, because Rusty's going to come on the podcast probably next. I talked to Russ a couple of days ago, letting them know that you guys are going to be on today. And Russ said that he'd love to come on. So, but your generation, you guys are a little older than I am, and I'm not saying it for that reason. But I grew up watching you guys. So I'm a young athlete playing high school football and rugby and trying to be a hockey player with really no, like, your accolades as amateur players was a hell of a lot better than mine. I kind of came from nowhere, quite honestly. But you guys inspired me to play. Who were the players that you ended up meeting and playing with that inspired you? Because honestly, I'm grateful to have you guys on here and to be your friend. But I watched you guys, and you guys got me going. Like, I fell in love with hockey with players that you guys grew up playing with. Who was that for you?
Well, for me, it was Boreas Alming, and it was also guys like Daryl Sittler, Lanny McDonald, that I grew up watching the Leafs, and they were the generation before. Those were guys that were great players, and then drafted as a defenseman to the Leafs. My first training camp, my first defense partner right through camp was Boria, and I was sent back to junior after that. But just getting to know that the guy that you looked up to, and Boria was a great athlete, and he could do whatever you could do. He could do it on skates. He was amazing. He did some of the most incredible. I'd never seen a guy take a backhand slap shot and roof it. Like, he was amazing. He showed me the kick shot, Maple Leaf Gardens, early in my career. We're down at the goal line, and with his left foot, he kicks the puck over the end glass, and it's still going out. And I thought, this is unbelievable. And then you just get so used to, how everything he made look so easy. He was more than just an idol growing up.
And in a time when it was tough to be a Swede or from anywhere other than Canada. I mean, even the American college guys got picked on a little bit back in the day, right? And So
Yeah,
that's
I think it's saying something that Harold Ballard loved him, and Harold wasn't a fan of certainly not Russians, but also Europeans thinking they were too soft. But he became Harold's favorite player um, I think that he ever had. So that says something. And he was just the thing that bothered me the most though is he was smart enough to know not to take the C, because he was going to have that um, that problem with the owner at the time. All the captains had a problem with it. He was our leader, but he didn't want it. So that was a bit of a dysfunction within, yet we still look to him for leadership, and so it kind of made a young player wonder, what's going on here. But he was a great leader on and off the ice.
How about you, Bern?
Mine's easy. Brian Trottier. The Islanders, when I was in junior, the Islanders were my favorite team. Brian Trottier was my favorite player. And centerman, we both were. Became real good friends with him, done a lot of hockey stuff with him, done a lot of stuff with him since. And, like y'all know, better person than he ever was a hockey player. And as a centerman, to watch him, he's won every award except the Norris Trophy and the Vezina, right? Like he's won it all. Conn Smythe, he wasn't very big, but he played tough, worked hard. Gary's got a great story about Trotz one night, but he was just like I watched them, and the cool thing is when I got to LA, they were still, I think they'd won, or they were about to win their fourth maybe or third, and I went and watched them practice after one of our practices before we played them the next night, and I never seen the team work so hard. And I was talking to someone from the Islanders the other day, Dwayne Sutter, and we never worked that hard in practice or in a game as hard as they worked in practice, And I'm not going to tell you who my leaders on that team was. I was young. The people I had to look up to, watching them practice, I couldn't believe it. And the next day shows how much of a fan I was. I still have the stick somewhere. After our morning skate, before we played the Islanders that night, I went around, because our room's just around the corner from one another, the old Forum, and I got the Islanders after their practice to sign my stick. But what I've been told is I walked in the room, walked around like a kid, and got them to sign my stick, every one of them. I can't believe I did that, but I guess I did. And but love the Islanders, love Brian Trottier, the best.
So when you guys met Brian Trottier and Borje Salming, they're your heroes as younger players. When you met the person and the character of them, that was almost even better than the hockey player and the character that you fell in love with.
Mine definitely was. I actually met Brian after I'd retired, and Gary and I, we played on a tour, Western Canada swing, the one I played on. And I played with Brian. Brian was there, and Brian was younger then. He played, but then you get to know him, and Brian knows. I've made it pretty clear that he was my guy. And like you hope when you meet somebody, they're every bit as what you think they are. He's more. And I think you guys both know him too. I know Gary does. Unbelievable. Like
Special.
He's who you want to look up to, especially as a centerman. We kind of play the same style of game. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
If
special
I ask
guy.
one more question, who would, if you were a young 15-year-old Bernie Nichols, young 15-year-old Gary Leeman today, and as fans and obviously with history on your side, who would be that player that you'd look up to or want to get to meet that's playing today? The best player or the best character? Who would that be today in the NHL?
For me, it's pretty easy. It'd be Sid. And I've met Sid different times. He's the same. And when you hear stories about Sid, the leader he is, even when you hear stories from guys that played with him in the Four Nations and stuff, it's ridiculous. And stories you hear about him in practice, the way he worked in practice. That's probably the one thing that I wish if you always had to do over, right? It would be when I went, and I'm not even going to bring the person's name up. When I broke in the NHL, and you all have to have somebody to take you under their wing and show you the ropes, right? I never had that. Like, I never worked out. I was, playing in LA. I was last on the ice and first off, gone to the golf course or gone somewhere, right? Like, and you hear, like, I never worked out till 94 when I was in Chicago with Chelios. We never had a weight room, never knew what a weight was, didn't want it, and I started with Chris doing push-ups and sit-ups in the sauna and working out and loved it. You never worked on your trade. And today, guys, like the stories you hear of Sid in practice, as hard as they work and stuff, like, and all the great ones, right? Like Jordan, like all these guys, they work so hard. They're the hardest working player on the team, and that's why they're the best. I never had that, right? Like, and it bothers me to this day that you didn't have that role model, that person to look up to. Like I said, I went and watched the Islanders practice that one day, and I was shocked how hard these guys work. My guy I'm looking up to on my team, you're skating around the ice doing laps, and he's got his ass against the boards, just, chugging along there. Like, then he scores 700 goals. You know what I mean? Like, doing nothing. So I don't know.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Gary?
Yeah, like ironically, Brian Trottier, I got to know Trotz, after my career, and everything Bernie said about him is bang on and more. What I would have given to have that kind of leadership, mentorship in our room, that would have been second to none. That would have been all I needed to get it, as a young player right away, instead of seeing all the dysfunction.
Yeah, see, Gary didn't have it either, right? Like,
Correct.
like he said, he
Yeah.
had that, how good he could have been better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with nutrition, strength training, like think of what the kids are doing now, and you see the edges that they and the things they're doing. Right? It's crazy. We have these conversations. Well, I still remember when college and junior, we had soggy sandwiches and buses. I mean, or a small little per diem at a diner halfway between Medicine Hat and Strathmore, Alberta, or wherever. Right? So it's crazy though what everybody's doing now and what that takes to your body and what that does, right? The ability to do that.
The teams now, they all have a chef there for morning after they have their breakfast, and then they go practice, come back, and there's a lunch there too, right? I remember being in Chicago, coming to the rink. First time I think we ever stretched. I don't know why we were stretching. It was before a game, but morning before the morning skate, we're stretching. Joe Murphy and I come in. I got a milkshake and I got my jeans on and I'm on the ground getting ready to stretch. And Daryl Sutter comes in and he's screaming at us. Look at you effing guys. You're not ready to go. We got a game and you're not ready. And I'm sitting there laying down going, we don't play for like 9 hours. I ain't ready yet. I won't be ready for another 9 hours. What's going on here? Oh,
That's
crazy.
Gary, tell him about Trotz, the time you ran into him on the ice.
Oh shit. Yeah. I actually forget a little bit of, all I know is we
you hit him or pushed him. You're trying to be tough with him or something.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Ask him who he was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, of course you get the the tough guy face on, and I was like, who the fuck do you think you are? He goes, I'm Brian Trottier, and I had nothing.
Did you not say center of the New York Islanders or something?
Yeah, he might have said that.
Trottier.
He said, I'm Brian Trottier, center of the New York Islanders. I'm like, oh, okay.
He was done.
Yeah,
that's a mic drop right there. That's a mic drop. Right?
I was
sure.
mean.
We were at an event, and I had the opportunity to meet Tiger Williams, and I actually went to a fire academy with his son. So he bolts over. He says, I heard about you. And I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And he's not a big guy, right? So we're chatting, and great guy, met his wife. They're wonderful. And then, but he was kind of all over the place. And then Lanny McDonald's at another table. He was actually sitting at our table, and he's like cursing Tiger out because they were on a foursome together, and he was pissed off at Tiger for whatever reason. He was just like chirping Tiger the entire time. He goes up on stage and he starts talking about Brian Chache when he was playing for Swift Current, right? So, and his first year is like, he comes from, Val Marie, Saskatchewan. He goes out to, technically a big city in comparison to Val Marie, Saskatchewan. And he hated it. He went home during a break, didn't want to come back. And Tiger, drives his, whatever Duster, 1969 Duster with mag wheels in a winter storm all the way to Val Marie, Saskatchewan to pick him up and say, "No, you're coming back with me. You've got things you haven't done." Right.
Yeah.
I heard that story, and then I got like, goosebumps. So, but that's kind of where that leadership, Bernie, you were talking about that Sid has, gets developed, right? There's like somebody that comes and says, "Hey, you can be great. You need this." And then they go and become that, right?
Yeah. Tiger's like Brad's size of Brad.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
hey, crazy. I know the story because I've heard Tiger tell that, and I've heard Brian talk about it as well. Brian was 15 years old, if I'm not mistaken, and he was he was a boy, and he's playing in that league that you talk about, Gary. That was the Western Hockey League, tough as nails, crazy people, playing with, at that point when you're 15 playing against 19, 20-year-olds. I mean, that's a massive difference, and he was petrified, but he also was, he was a young boy, but his talent obviously was good enough to be there. He speaks volumes about Tiger Williams. As crazy as a loon as Tiger Williams is, the stuff that he's done, and I mean, there could be hours upon hours of stories about Tiger. His best friends, Daryl.
So quick Tiger Williams story, real quick. We're at La Quinta Country Club in Palm Springs, probably the nicest country club in Palm Springs, period. Tiger's had a couple drinks.
No, shocker.
Tiger driving together, and when he gets some alcohol in him, we come up to the 18th hole. A couple young kids come out. "Can I have your autograph?" Tiger says, "I can't spell," or "I can't write," or something, smart at. And the kid swore at him or said something to him. Tiger picked this kid up, walked across the green like he's got the Stanley Cup. It's kind of an island green. There's a pond. He threw this kid in the water. The clubhouse is right there. All the members, like it was the president's son. He's upstairs watching it through the glass.
That's awesome.
I thought they were going to arrest him. It was unbelievable, and Tiger didn't care, not one bit.
Bernie, we were playing.
Awesome.
We were
His
playing
best friends, sorry to just jump that, his best friends, and Gary, you can speak of it because you know these guys really well. Lanny McDonald, Daryl Sittler, Ian Turnbull. Tiger was like, and Boreas Salming. Tiger was, he's a leader amongst men as well. As crazy as he is, he's a guy that actually brought his friends into the fight and made them better competitors.
Yeah,
I played with Tiger for 2 years. He was my left winger.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
In LA.
Yeah, I was thinking
LA.
when Bernie was talking, I was thinking, yeah, he is a very good leader, and you said it best. He'll drag you into the fight, and that's what we grew up watching in Toronto. Him do that, he got involved when the team needed him every time, and
Yeah. He's doing something to stir something up if it's not going well.
Hey, crazy story. Sorry. So Tiger invites me 2012. I'm thinking in that realm. The Afghanistan war is on. There's a Canadian contingent. We're going to fly over on the Prime Minister's plane from Ottawa, and Brian Burke, Daryl Sittler, Tom Mansalmi was the CEO, president of MLSC at the time. Arlene Dickinson, Troy Crowder. There's a number of us. Anyways, he invites me to go over to have Thanksgiving dinner with the troops, the Canadian troops at Camp Canada, which was in Kuwait City. We were going to go to Afghanistan, but it was pretty volatile at that time, a lot of danger. So we weren't able to go to Afghanistan. So we ended up going to Kuwait and Oman. We're playing ball hockey at Camp Canada, which is right where Saddam Hussein in 1991 Desert Storm, when they were shooting the Scud missiles, or the Americans did, and with the European allies, blowing up the tanks. That, remember, they had those big bunkers, and it was in Kuwait because they wanted the oil. Anyways, this is right where it was, and we're playing ball hockey against 5 different teams. There was a French contingent, there was, I want to say, our Norwegian, Dutch platoon. We played the Americans that played the Canadians, and we did this as a group. We were down by a couple goals, and Tiger benched Arlene Dickinson, who's a Dragon on Dragon's Den at the time. He benches Tara Oram, who's a female country singer from the East Coast, and Natasha Staniskowski, who was a TSN reporter or anchor for TSN. He's like, ladies, sit down. You're not playing, because he needs, like us, we need to win. So he's like, Tony Curry, Troy Crowder, Brad, Darrell, you guys get out there. Anyways, we claw back into this game. Well, Tiger gets a breakaway, and he goes down the, remember playing like ball hockey in the gymnasium underneath the hoop. There's a padded end of the gymnasium. The net's right in front of it. Tiger runs through the goaltender. Goaltender makes a save, runs the goalie through the net into the padded wall, and because he's crazy. And he stands over top of the goal, and he's like, "Get up, you fucking pussy," is exactly what he says. And I swear to God, none of us knew this at the time. She proceeds to take her goalie helmet off, and she's got long blonde hair, and he buries this female soldier into the net, and he's like, whatever, and he's in her face, and it doesn't faze him. We're all like on the court, and we're like dumbfounded that this actually happened. But everybody loved Tiger. He's been over there. He's one of the greatest supporters of the Canadian troops. And I know there's been a lot of...
Tiger is like listening to Howard Stern. You never know what's going to happen next, right? You're just sitting there watching. It's like, what? Crazy.
Guys, I got to run, but I'm going to finish with a Tiger story myself. And I think, Bernie, you might have been there. We were playing an old timers game up in Fort Mac, and I'm out in the ice with Tiger, and there's a lot of people in the rink, and this kid on the other team decides, to say out loud at the face-off circle, he says, "Hey, Tiger, you want to go?" Tiger looks at him. He's probably, he's about 5'10", 175 pounds. Tiger goes, he goes, "I could beat you with one arm behind my back." And the kid kind of laughs. Tiger, as soon as he dropped the puck, Tiger goes at him, punches him right in the face, has the other arm behind his back, and proceeds to hit him about 12 more times. Beat the snot out of him, just because. So,
because he asked for it.
Yeah. So
that's what legends do, man. I'm Put everybody in their place, right?
Yeah, I'm sure guys like that, though, they get it their whole lives. I've heard the stories about Ty cleaning, wiping up the streets with a couple of guys that just decided that they wanted to see how tough he was, and they regretted it.
Garrett, tell them about the golf game we had in LA. I picked you up.
Oh, well, that was awesome. So this was back. This would have been John Brophy was the coach, and it would have been Luke Richardson's
86 maybe
rookie year. Yeah, something like that. We were playing in Edmonton the night before, and Bernie and I had talked and arranged to be picked up the next morning. We're playing the next night in LA. So we had to fly early in the morning. I think we got into LAX around 9:30, something like that. And Bernie says, "Okay, I'll pick you up. I'll be behind the shuttle buses. The shuttle buses would take us. It was a 5-minute shuttle over to the Marriott." So I hand my bag to Luke, and we're walking outside the LAX, and I said, "Luke, take my bag and don't say anything. I'll see you at the game." Okay. So we start walking. Now I start looking, where's Bernie? And he had a Corvette, and he told me I'll have my Corvette there. And so anyhow, doesn't this asshole park right behind the shuttles. And he's got his cap on and his glasses. You can't tell who he is, right? And he's got the top down and he's got his golf clubs in my seat. I got my suit on. You know, you got to travel with your suit and all that stuff. And so I don't know what I grabbed, but I was kind of covering up as he pulled out and slowly went by the shuttles. We had planned to play up and I think it was Friendly Hills. We ended up playing 14 or 15 holes, and we decided we needed something to eat, and so we finished playing a little bit early, and then we got to the rink, and we figured we better get there, you know, because the traffic. I don't know where Bernie was living at the time. I think it was a lot closer, but I thought, okay, well, we probably should leave early. Well, we get there. I'm the first guy in our dressing room, which was uncommon, and anyhow, so the guys start walking in, kind of getting these strange looks, and so anyhow, they're like, "Where were you today?" I'm like, "No, you know, I've been around, whatever." So we start warm up, and we're going around warm up, and you know how we were talking about how light skinned we were. I hadn't put any sunscreen on, and after a couple laps, my face was the color of that stripe behind Rocco there. It was unbelievable. And Bernie had told his teammates.
Oh, red.
He had told his teammates, right? So all those guys knew, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get outed here. But it was funny because my face burned the whole game. We ended up tying. This was the good news. This is back when ties were ties. We tied 3-3, and Bernie and I were in on all the goals. So talk about playing guilty with a tomato on your shoulders.
Put in the extra effort. Yeah. Love it.
Hey, Gary, I know you have to go for the time. It's so great to have you. I want to have you on again because you got a whole other extension of your story after you play. First of all, you won the Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens, 1993. I wanted to ask you. You talked about when you were a young boy at the Pee Wee tournament, the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. You met one of your heroes, Jean Beliveau. Jean Beliveau was there when you had won. You must have.
Well, we didn't win.
The interaction
was the game that,
in Montreal.
How cool is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, that was. Hey, it was him. It was you know, Lafleur. It was lots of guys. Lemaire, lots of guys. Serge Savard. Just having Serge Savard as your GM, like that is gold. He was, you know, he's a guy that, you know, he did it. He did it a number of times, and he was one of the best at what he did. And to learn. I mean, it was my 10th year in the league, and I learned more that year about obviously winning a cup, but you know how an organization goes about doing it. And we saw, and he was kind of the middle guy between Ronald Corey, who was the president, and our coach. And he was the glue. He was the guy that we would see conversing with Ronald Corey, who, you know, we ended up finding out they didn't really get along, but they made it work. Whereas we saw this in Toronto all the time. And then, you know, him talking to Jacques Lemaire, our coach. So the communication that Jacques probably received from him made Jacques a better coach because Serge had been through it. So to help, you know, it helped everybody, and was a great. He was a great coach for me because he was a positive guy, and I just think when you let people do what they're supposed to do, and they can excel, and then you can see how good they are. And yeah, I can't say enough about Serge and my time there.
Brad, I'm so glad you asked Gary about the cup in Montreal, because it's just got to be done any time. That's legendary. I'm going to ask one more quick question, and we got to let you go. I know you're itching to get up, but we got to get you back on because I think you and I can really connect and pick on Mayday a little more at a later date. But do you ever wear your ring?
Do I ever wear it?
Yeah,
I will. I'll wear it when actually, you know what's funny is the first time I should have worn it was at a NHL alumni event where Mike Krushelnyski was there. And we had played together in Toronto, and really good guy. And he's got 4 of them that he'll put on his necklace and walk around the room and gather other guys and put it on and give it to people. Just walk up to, somebody that's at the event, some random dude, and just plop like 15 rings in the guy's hand and walk away, just to give him this experience, right? So I didn't wear he had come to me to ask if I had it with me, and I said, no, I didn't bring it. He says, oh, what happened? Did you forget it? I said, no, I just didn't wear it. And he kind of cuffed me behind the head, and I said, what the hell is that for? And he goes, it's not about you. It's about other people getting a chance to see it. And I went, oh yeah, of course. I'm not a guy that wears any jewelry, never wore any jewelry. And so then it prompted me to wear it. I don't like to kind of show it off, but I do like to show people that want to see it, get a chance to see it. So it's kind of a catch-22 for me, but yeah, I wear it to some events.
Nice.
Gary,
you hear that? You hear that, Maisie? Do you hear that,
Hey,
Maisie?
So I'm just gonna say, Gary, you'd be proud of me for one time. Last night I was in Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres played the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I went down and I actually brought my Stanley Cup ring because I got it fixed. I could tell that story another time, but I got it fixed, and I wore it, and it was a hit. I'm that same guy. I don't want to show it off, and certainly Buffalo hasn't won a Stanley Cup. I don't want to be that guy, but everybody really enjoyed it. It's not about me, it's about them. You and Cruiser give me shit all the time not wear it, that I should bring it, which was really cool. And to really tie this whole thing into a bow, Bernie, when you said Sidney Crosby is your favorite, last night I waited for about 40 minutes after the game last night in Buffalo. I had our friend Joe from Hamilton Country Club and his kids, his little boy Sammy, and they wanted to get a picture with Sidney Crosby. And he's on his way now or tomorrow to Milan to go to the Olympics. Evgeny Malkin comes out, Erik Karlsson comes out, and we got pictures with the boys. I had to ask, of course, and I was not in the picture, but I got the boys in the picture with these guys. The last guy coming out of their locker room, and the reason why is because he had to work out after the game. He has to do his cold plunges, hot plunge, or whatever he does. He had to eat his meals on a timely schedule. He comes out. He's the best dressed guy on that team, professional, walking out. He's carrying a bag full of like these little goodies, whatever he had. And he couldn't have been nicer, Bernie. And when he saw me, we did play against each other for just a couple years. I want to say 3 or 4 or 5 years, maybe. I played 4 years against Sid. I got to know him a little bit, and he couldn't have been nicer to these young boys. And his team's waiting for him. This guy is a consummate professional. But the whole thing tying it up, I had my Stanley Cup ring, and of course Sid's got 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken, and gold medals, and they recognized it too. And it's funny when you're in that circle, you can't hide, and it was really cool. But Sidney Crosby, he elevated himself in my books. The way he didn't have to do that. He's in a race. He's preoccupied thinking of other things, and he stopped. He asked these young boys a couple questions, made their night. It's probably a dream come true to meet their hero and their legend. Sidney did that, but thank you, Gary, for pushing me to do that, because everybody I ran into last night loved it.
Well, I'm proud to say that I call you a friend now, and your story there is awesome. The game is in a better place because of Sidney Crosby, and he probably learned a lot of that. And Bernie could maybe speak to this because he knows Mario very well. He was mentored by a very class guy, and so he's going to pass that on to everybody he meets. And you couldn't ask for a better representative, and so happy that he's Canadian.
No kid.
Absolutely. I got goosebumps just listening to that, Gary. I was like, yes, thank God he's Canadian. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to end on that.
Hey, Gary, thank you very much for being here, brother.
Thank you very much,
Hey,
Gary. I
appreciate all
appreciate
you
you so
guys.
much.
I look forward to. I'd love to be back on your show and tell you some of the sideways stories that
we need a few Brian Fogarty stories next time.
Okay, all
We
right.
gotta get you out here. Do a little alumni event out in Seattle every once in a while. So we'd love to get you guys out here for some golf and a little bit of hockey on an outdoor rink, by the way, that some
Nice.
guy owns on
Love
his
that.
property.
Awesome. That'd be
Hi, everybody. It's Rocco from Overtime with Mayday Hockey Podcast. You know me as the grocery stick that hangs out with Brad May and all these great NHL hockey players and alumni. I want you to like, subscribe. If you like our podcast, heck, even if you don't like our podcast, please like, subscribe, tune in, tell your friends. Thank you very much.